Hi everyone, I'm Kathleen and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a reading vlog. I don't do a lot of these, but I did get a new book in the mail and it's called Merged and it's by Jim and Stephanie Kropfel. I apologize if that's not how you pronounce the last name, but I got this book for review for free and this book sounded so good, and it is a sci-fi book set in outer space, so it sounded like it was something right up my alley. So I was reading a little bit more on the back about what this book is about, and it is not set in space, but it is still a sci-fi book. So it's about these 7 gifted teenagers and they become what is called the nobles. And nobles are these hosts for the implantation of brilliant mentor minds. Basically, they're gonna implant these minds of these brilliant mentors, these very intelligent mentors, into the brains of the hosts, the nobles. But it looks like the mentors began to take over the bodies and minds of the nobles, and the nobles, these teenagers, kind of have to figure out a way to not lose their bodies and their minds. Basically, I have to say this sounds really cool. It sounds like something that I would love to read. However, I don't like this cover. I think it's really cheesy in my opinion. So I just reached chapter 8 and I'm actually quite enjoying the book. So far it's quite a bit of world building. It's just explaining what's going on. One of our main characters, her name is Lake, and she's someone who has just been implanted with the mentor mind called Sophie. But so far their two minds are supposed to merge, hence the name of the book, but they haven't merged yet. She's having difficulty and it's kind of giving her problems because it's not supposed to take this long. By her agreeing to be a host, she receives money, and she needs that money. She needs the experiment to do well because her grandmother has Alzheimer's. She needs to help pay for her medical bills. The other main character, his name is Orphan, except it's spelled O-R-F-Y-N, but he's an actual orphan and he's an incredible artist. What he does is that he tags like walls on the street. He does graffiti basically, but he's super talented and people have wondered who he is. He keeps his identity a secret. One day it seems like his identity has been found out, so I don't know what's going on with him yet. They haven't gotten to that part, but I'm really enjoying the book so far. It's pretty good. I wanted to show you guys a little bit of my bullet journaling. It is currently October, but I've been slacking on my bullet journal, so I just finished everything with September, like with the decorations and everything. And this is normally how my bullet journal looks like when I start every month. On the left side I'll always have a quote, and then on the right side I'll have the title of the month. This month for September I went with a cactus theme, and I bought these little stickers from Etsy, and the quote that I chose is "Life is like a cactus, thorny but beautiful." And then once I turn the page, I'll always have my calendar, and normally I'll write all of the videos that I put out that month. I'll also have my YouTube growth tracker, and then I always like to decorate it a little bit more. And then the next page I have my TBR. I've been going through a reading slump, so obviously my TBRs haven't been that long, and as you can see I barely read at all this month. And I got these little cactus from Google. I just printed them out and cut them out and glued them on the page. And here are usually my books read, and in here I'll just print out the covers of each book and then I'll write what my ratings are. And the next few pages are my weekly spreads. So you can see I just have everything that I do, and then I'll have a few more stickers. Here's another one. This one I have to finish doing the drawing, like fill it out and color it in. And here are a few photos from BookNet Fest. I decided to glue them into my bullet journal. Here are those stickers that I got from Google, and it says "Be a cactus in a world full of delicate flowers." Here's another one, another weekly spread. And that's it. And then it starts my October. As you can see, I have no idea what the theme will be, but I did start on at least on my pages. Alright, So we finally got to the part where Lake was able to merge with her mentor Sophie. However, she's having a big problem where Sophie doesn't recognize Lake, and that's a big issue. So they're in her mind together, they're merged. However, every time Lake tries to interact with Sophie, Sophie doesn't recognize Lake, and she's afraid to tell the doctors and researchers who are overseeing this program because it's not normal for the mentor not to recognize the host's mind. So she's really worried, she doesn't know what to do, so for now she's keeping it a secret and trying to get Sophie to remember who she is. Also met another noble, and his name is Stryker, and he's a noble for peace, and there's like romantic tension between the two of them, but it's kind of cringy a little bit, and where every time Stryker accidentally like bumps against her or brushes up against her, she becomes very flustered around him, and she's starting to notice how handsome he is. Sometimes when this happens, it kind of breaks the flow of the scene, and I find it really cringy, but it's not so bad because I've read worse. Alright, so the way that the mentors and the host, the way they interact with one another is not like a 24/7. It's not like all of a sudden they implanted the mentor mind into the host's mind and they're talking to one another in their 24/7. Basically, the only way that they can interact is through dreaming. So the host has to be dreaming in order for them to be able to talk to one another. And each of the nobles, they're kind of working on something big to kind of better humankind, to better the world. For example, Lake, our main character, she's working with her mentor Sophie to find a cure for Alzheimer's. And one thing that Lake has started to notice is that her memories aren't as good whenever she wakes up from a dream. She's having trouble remembering things, and she doesn't think it's a big deal yet, but I feel like it's a big deal. It's Bambi! She's my newest adoptee. I got her about a month ago. She's only 4 months old, and I named her Bambi. Her buddy is Thumper. He's not very social today. Very social compared to Thumper. She goes up to you. She likes to be held and be pet. Thumper, he's more antisocial. He likes being pet, but he doesn't like being picked up and cuddled. And Bambi's the complete opposite of that. So our other main character, Orphan, we did find out what happened to him. His identity was revealed. Somebody found out who he was, and he was propositioned. He was given the proposition to become a noble for art, and he accepts. And the mentor that is inserted into him is called Bat, but his name is actually Bartholomew. That word is kind of hard to pronounce, but his mentor is actually really supportive and a really cool guy, so he's not suffering as much as the other nobles are. And Lake, who's our other main character, our first main character, she is having trouble. Her mentor, it seems like she's taking over her mind because Lake is exhibiting some really strange behavior. For example, she has cravings for cigarettes and she doesn't smoke, but her mentor used to smoke when she was alive. And also she's having trouble concentrating. She is just behaving very differently than she normally is, and she is not realizing that this is happening as much as everyone else around her is seeing her behavioral changes. Their nobles are also suffering from severe medical side effects. One of them is having breathing problems, another one had a complete mental breakdown. So obviously the research program for this emerging program is not going very well. The only ones who seem to not have any issues is Stryker, who is the other love interest for Lake, and one other noble. They seem to be the only ones who are not having issues with their mentors and also not suffering any health side effects. So I actually ended up finishing the book, and I really quite enjoyed it. I thought the ending was a little bit anticlimactic. I thought more would happen, but it didn't. Basically what ended up happening is that with all these kids having issues with the merging, basically with their mentors trying to take over, or they're having these really bad health issues, the scientists and the researchers behind the merging program decided to unmerge, basically take the mentor mind from these kids' minds. That's it. That's kind of like what happened. The 3 characters that this happened to, they lost obviously their memories of what happened during their time during the merging. They don't remember what happened. They have no idea that it happened, and they went back to their normal lives. Now the ending kind of leaves it open where there could be a sequel to this. Besides that, I was kind of expecting to be more from the ending to be more explosive, because the whole thing was just a build up for the confrontation between, like, for example, with Lake, between her mentor who's trying to take over and Lake herself in their minds. And there was a little bit of a confrontation, but not quite how as expected. I felt like the whole ending was very cordial, and maybe it shouldn't have been. Now I am very intrigued to read the rest of the story, because obviously, again, they did leave it very open-ended, but I did end up giving this book 4 stars. I actually really enjoyed it. I just thought it was really, really good. So if you guys are interested in checking out more about this book, I will leave the Goodreads linked down below, and I'll try to see if I can also link the author's websites. If they have a website, I'll go ahead and leave it linked down below as well. Again, I really, really liked the book. It's very short. It's 275 pages, and it's actually a very quick read. I flew through it whenever I was able to sit down and read, and I was really engaged in the story. I would like to say thank you to the authors for sending me this book for review. I really enjoyed it, and I hope the series becomes really, really successful, because I think it has a great premise. And so anyway, guys, thank you all so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a like if you did, and subscribe to my channel if you're not already. All of my social medias are linked down below, including Twitter, Instagram, and Goodreads, if you like to follow me on those platforms. I hope to see you guys on my next video. Have a good day, guys, and keep reading. Bye!